of New Orleans.
Hello there, and welcome back to Kankakee Podcast. I'm Jake LaMore, and today we're diving into a song that not only stood the test of time, but also happens to mention our very own Kankakee. Of course, I'm talking about City of New Orleans, written by Steve Goodman and made famous by Arlo Guthrie, and later by Willie Nelson.
Riding on the City of New Orleans, Illinois Central Monday morning rail.
That line right there, that train route, it rolled straight through Kankakee, and this song has cemented our city into musical history. But there's so much more to this song than just a shout-out. So let's take a ride through the story behind the City of New Orleans, the song, the train, and why it still resonates today.
Have no name and freight yards full of old black men and the graveyards of rusted automobiles. Singing good morning America, how are you?
First off, Steve Goodman, a Chicago native born in 1948 and a folk music icon with a gift for storytelling. Goodman grew up in the northern suburbs and later attended the University of Illinois before diving headfirst into the Chicago folk music scene of the late 1960s and early 70s. He became a staple at venues like the Earl of Old Town, where he played alongside other rising stars like John Prine.
Make me an angel that flies from Montgomery.
Back in 1970, Steve and his wife Nancy were taking the Illinois Central train from Chicago to southern Illinois to visit her grandmother. Nancy fell asleep, and Steve, with his guitar and notebook, started jotting down what he saw out the window. The passing towns, the quiet fields, the steady rhythm of the train. He described everything from the lonely freight yards to the club car full of card players.
And the sons of Pullman boarders, the sons of engineers.
Every lyric is based on something Goodman experienced on that trip. But when he got home, he heard that the Illinois Central's City of New Orleans passenger train was going to be decommissioned due to declining ridership. The song became kind of a tribute, maybe even a eulogy, to that train and the people who relied on it.
You know me, I'm your native son.
Now, Steve originally released the song on his debut album in 1971, but it didn't exactly take off right away. That's where Arlo Guthrie enters the story. Steve was known for being a bit bold when it came to getting his music into the right hands. The legend goes that Goodman cornered Arlo Guthrie in a bar and begged him to listen to the song. Arlo wasn't too keen on being pitched music during dinner, but Steve made a deal with him. "Let me play one song for you. If you don't like it, I'll buy you a beer and leave you alone." So, Steve played City of New Orleans. Arlo listened, and by the end, he was hooked. Guthrie recorded the song in 1972, and that version, with his laid-back folk style and slightly altered lyrics, became a hit. It reached number 18 on the Billboard Hot 100 and brought national attention not just to the song, but to the fading romance of America's railroads.
Good morning America, how are you? Said, don't you know me, I'm your native son.
That line, "Good morning America, how are ya?" It became more than just a lyric. It became a cultural phrase. So much so that when ABC launched their morning show in 1975, they named it Good Morning America. That's how deep this song runs in American culture. Let's talk about Steve Goodman, the man behind the music. Diagnosed with leukemia at just 20 years old, Steve lived with cancer for most of his adult life. He never let it slow him down, though. Over the next 15 years, he recorded 11 albums and toured constantly. Steve had this joyful energy, a mix of humor, heartache, and hope. He used songwriting to capture life's small, vivid moments. You can hear it in The City of New Orleans, but also in other tracks like A Dying Cub Fan's Last Request and You Never Even Call Me By My Name. He battled leukemia with brutal treatments and long remissions. Even at his health decline, he kept performing, smiling, and writing. He passed away in 1984 at just 36 years old. But his music, and this song especially, continues to roll on.
They're out on a southbound Odyssey and the train pulls out of Kankakee, rolls past the houses, farms, and fields.
After Steve passed away, Willie Nelson picked up City of New Orleans and gave it a whole new life. Willie released his version in 1984, naming it the title track of his album that year. It hit number 1 on the country charts and won a Grammy Award for Best Country Song.
Nighttime on the city of New Orleans.
That Grammy was a posthumous honor to Steve Goodman, and what a tribute it was. Willie's version has a slower, more reflective tone than Arlo's. It captures that sense of farewell, not just to the train itself, but maybe to a whole way of life. The trains, the conductors, the diners, the porters, they were more than transportation. They were Americana in motion.
Still ain't heard the news.
And let's not forget the real-life City of New Orleans train. It ran along the Illinois Central Railroad, connecting Chicago to New Orleans, with stops in Champaign, Carbondale, Memphis, Jackson, and of course, Kankakee. When that lyric plays, changing cars in Memphis, Tennessee, halfway home, we'll be there by morning, through the Mississippi's darkness, rolling down to the sea, you feel like you're on that train. You can picture it gliding past small-town stations, maybe catching a glimpse of Kankakee's depot in the early morning light. And you know, it's not just poetic. The train was a lifeline for many towns. Students, soldiers, families, salesmen, all riding the rails across the heart of the country. Even today, Amtrak still runs the City of New Orleans route. So next time you hear the whistle or see the train pass by, think of Steve, Arlo, Willie, and the music that keeps those tracks alive. So there it is, the story of the City of New Orleans, a song that captured a moment, a movement, and a memory. It's a tribute to railroads, to the people they carried, and to a songwriter who knew how to find beauty in every mile. Thanks for taking this ride with me. If you haven't listened to the full song in a while, any version, I encourage you to cue it up after this episode. And when that line comes up, all along the southbound Odyssey, the train pulls out of Kankakee, you'll know exactly why it matters.
Just singing good night, America, how are you? Saying, don't you know me, I'm your native son. Well, I'm the train they call the City of New Orleans, and I'll be gone a long, long time when day is done.
Sources for this episode include songfacts.com, American Songwriter, PBS Soundbreaking, Rolling Stone, the Steve Goodman biography, Facing the Music, and the Library of Congress archive on American railroads. Thanks again for listening. I'm Jake LaMore. This has been another episode of Kankakee Podcast. Until next time, take care, and don't forget to wave at the train.